Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Dion Cheese, and I'm coming from Wild Emmaus, the home of violent deer and angry squirrel. So, I'm here to tell y'all today about this new bike that I just bought. So, this came from Spark Cycleworks. This is called the Spark Javelin. This bike was made and built, hand built in Connecticut, Branford, Connecticut to be exact, by Matt and his team. Um, when I first received this bike and I first seen it, I seen it on the development, watched the stages and how it went on YouTube. I kind of liked the way the company was, and I was figuring, hey, I need something, a bike that I can get to work a little bit faster. So this bike right here basically fulfilled the needs that I needed. I needed something that I felt safe on, keeping up with traffic. I actually had another bike before that. It's called the Motor Goat version 3, which we'll talk about that another time. But as far as this bike is concerned, this bike is the truth. So it's well built. It's basically, like I said, it's a light frame. Battery weighs about, I would say maybe like 60, 65 pounds or whatever. It's a 72 volt system. It has a 4 kilowatt QS motor, an open source controller for our driver. So when I looked on the site said that this bike has the potential of reaching 70 miles per hour. So I seen another video that another guy made, and he basically was down in the bike. But from my experience and from talking to Matt and understanding e-bikes and can make my own conclusion, this bike can definitely do 70 miles per hour. So the thing is, when you receive the bike, they program the bike with their own program. If you want the bike to go faster, it could definitely go faster. So the fastest I've been on the bike since I had the bike was like 60 miles per hour. So about like 60, 62. And it seemed like it could still go. But the fact is, if you program the bike to go faster and faster and faster, like Matt said, so you could actually wear out the motor, you could burn out the motor if you do it too much. So as far as the quickness, being able to keep up with cars and everything like that, the bike definitely can do it. I believe that the bike can go 70 miles per hour. And a lot of the things that people have to understand is that when you're buying a bike, this basically is not like I wouldn't say like e-bike. It's basically in the e-moped category, a light motorcycle or whatever, like you would want to call it. Me, I'm 5'11" and a half. I weigh 245 pounds. I work out. And like for me, like I said, the bike basically does what I want to. I didn't want a motorcycle. I'm not riding on the highway. Like I said, I'm 56 years old. And from what I've experienced and I see around here, people drive like, it's like, basically they don't respect bikes. So it's bad enough that the bike is an electric bike. You can't see the bike, I can say this much. This bike is probably the quietest bike on the market. Like you literally cannot hear the motor when this bike is running. So to keep it where people can see me is I use the music, whatever. But anyway, the bike, it comes with a VIN number. It also has DOT approved lights. This one in particular comes with an Android animated light, which is 7 inches. It's bright. I can see where I want to go. Real good, I can see. I also ordered the fairing, and I ordered these acrylic red panels. And Matt actually did a review on this bike before I actually got it. He did a review on YouTube. So eventually, like I said, I'm gonna put the videos together. I'm gonna see what he says, and then I'm gonna let y'all know if it's true or not. But just to make a long story short, everything he said about the bike is true. They stand by their product. I'm satisfied with the bike. Like I said, it's a hand-built bike. I mean, it's not, if I had to describe the look of this bike, I would say this would be like the Cybertruck of bikes, right? The Cybertruck of e-bikes, but in a more beautiful way, because I really don't care for Tesla. So I think there's a lot of better cars out there that's made better than Tesla, as far as like, the manufacturers like Mercedes and Toyota, who's been building cars for years. But as far as the fabrication of this bike, is very unique. I think that the bike is definitely got the looks. Like you gotta see the bike in person. So it's a beautiful bike. The shocks work well. The seat is made by Tapia, so the seat is real good. I like the way the seat can go up and everything like that. This switch right here controls the 12 volt system. This right here controls the modes of speed. So if I go down here, it's the mode 2. Basically, is the legal mode. It goes up to 35 miles per hour top limit. If you go this way, the world is yours, basically. So this is the one that allows me to go as fast as I want, keeping up with traffic and so forth. This switch right here controls the reverse, if I do it like that, in the cruise control, if I push it up. The horn, I love the horn because it's a real horn. It sounds like a car horn. The mirrors, I'm not particularly fond of the mirrors. I mean, they'll do the job, but like I said, I like more like low profile mirrors. If I could, I would have had bar end mirrors, but they didn't have any available. So, but like I said, I love the paint job. I love the sparkle in it. I love like the tires and everything like that. They're real motorcycle tires, real motorcycle brakes. And as you can see, it got, like I said, tail lights. It got the blinkers on it. It has, as you can see, it has a hydraulic brakes, the motorcycle brakes. It got 220 millimeter rotors, very thick. Obviously, it doesn't have pedals, but they do have a pedal kit. So if you're looking for a pedal kit, the bike does have pedals. So he's in development of that right now. So I told him I was interested in that. As far as the fender is concerned, I ordered the aluminum fender, like the stainless steel, whatever, aluminum, which I love. I love the fact, like I said, I love the way they did this with the folded pieces. Like I said, and here might have a little bit of gas, but they do have dampeners like that. So when you're riding this bike is very, very quiet. It's quick. I would describe it, look, it's smooth as butter. It's like riding a Cadillac, and it moves like a cheetah whenever you're ready to do it. So if you're looking for an e-bike or whatever like that, if you're a first-time buyer, I can definitely agree with Matt, because like I said, when a bike came to me, it came in 3 parts. So they shipped it via UPS. The battery came first. Then second, the bike came, and it had like 3 boxes. So you had all the front end was dismantled, and then you had the back end. So I had to put together the whole front end basically. The brakes is already is hooked up to it. So you had to put the tire on there. I had to put the fender on, the lights, basically the handlebars, everything that's on the handlebars. I had to assemble that. I had to assemble the display. And what I can say about the display is cool, because the display actually has Apple CarPlay and it has Android Auto on it. So the only thing it is about the display is I got to figure out how to make that work with the speakers that I carry, or either I'm going to just have to upgrade the speaker. Maybe it might be the connection or whatever. The Far Driver app is a little finicky. So if you don't understand how to, hook up the apps and stuff like that, you might have a hard time. But the hardest thing I had about assembling the bike, for me personally, was the wires. So I wanted to make sure that all the wires was laid out, so I rewrapped them and stuff like that. And I made the wiring the way I wanted the wiring. But for the most part, like I said, man, it's a great bike. Like I said, the key ignition, you have, it's a solid build bike. So it's definitely, it doesn't feel cheap, doesn't look cheap. Nothing about the bike is cheap. They use the components that they use on the bike are actually real good components. The Far Driver app is basically a Chinese app. So it has a steep learning curve. So the handling of the bike, smooth as butter. But like I said, it's actually a big bike. So if you don't have any experience with riding e-bikes and like that, but like I said, the takeoff on it, it will throw you back if you don't watch it. So I would say that if you never had an e-bike, skip this bike. Go to maybe like another e-bike or something like that. Then you can jump to something like this, because like I said, this is basically like an e-moped. So it's quick, it keeps you in traffic, gets you where you want to go, well worth the price. And like I said, putting together like the pedals and putting the shocks together, like I said, I did it all by myself. I lifted it up by myself. The bike, like I said, for the average person, this bike is going to be heavy, so you're going to need some help. But for me, I would lift weights. I'm not really worried about it. It was easy for me. And like I said, I spent maybe, like I said, the first day, the night, I probably spent maybe like a few hours, because I was just like being just like over the top with it, like being real meticulous. And like I said, man, the good thing about it is that he has an open source. So like you can easily swap out the motor if you want a 5 kilowatt, 8 kilowatt, whatever you want. You can get in there, you can change out the Far Driver, you can change that up, or you could just keep the same one and you can just do that. But me personally, I don't want to do 70 miles per hour on this bike. Like I said, I mean, smooth as it is, I wouldn't want to do it. So maybe somebody else to do it. You're a daredevil or whatever. Would I recommend a helmet? Depending on where you live at, I would definitely get a helmet, because if you go down, you're going down. So, beside that, this is all I really got to say. This is just a quick review. I'll show you some footage of the bike, you know, basically the speed, GPS certified. That the bike, like I said, the bike definitely 50 miles per hour is nothing for this bike. This bike was 50 miles per hour. So, and another thing I want to say, like, the guy who made the video, he downed this bike so bad. Like, I was thinking, like, man, like, what did I get myself into? But like I said, you got a lot of people out there, man. They full of shit. They might have a little issue with a company or whatever, and then they try to down the company and they try to make everybody not want to buy the bike because they may have an issue or they feel like they need to be addressed right away. Far as reaching out to the company, they were very responsive. Did they always answer me like right away, 10 minutes? No, they're not going to do that because, like I said, it's a small company. They got a small crew. I think it's a 10-man crew. So you might have to wait a little while. You might have to wait a few hours or whatever. I mean, like, it was times where he asked me like right away, and it was other times when he didn't. Matter of fact, the man was so nice that when I was having issues trying to connect the app, to bound the controller to the app, the man actually made a video on his day off. So I respect that. So, and they actually had ended up sending me, which was crazy. They actually had ended up sending me a second battery, which I offered to buy. So I didn't keep the battery. Like I said, it was an accident that they sent it to me. I let them know right away. As soon as I opened up the box, found out. I got to work the next day, contacted him. He sent me a label. I sent the battery back. So to me, honesty is the best policy. Like I said, I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me. So I just made sure that I sent it back to him. Other than that, man, like I said, man, listen, if you get a bike like this, man, like, believe me, you're going to enjoy the bike. You're going to love this bike. And the thing is, I'm glad I had the second e-bike, which is called the Motor Goat, the version 3, which is borderline between an e-moped and an e-bike. Because what a lot of people don't understand, they don't understand is big differences between the two. So learn your e-bike, learn about batteries and things like that. And I see a lot of people out here, like I said, I see it every day. I see a lot of people out here riding these little cheap e-bikes and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't want them sitting in my house. I don't want the fact that a battery might blow up on me or something like that. Like I said, because if you get, like I said, one thing I learned about China is they do what they call quality fading. So if you get something from them and you want cheap, they're gonna make it for you. But like I said, your battery system probably won't have a BMS, a battery management system. It can overheat. The soldering can be bad like that. And then if it gets on a lithium fire, your ass is out. So if you're gonna get an e-bike, don't think they're cheap. This bike right here ended up costing me altogether about like 5.5 K. So like I said, they got a base model you can buy. But like I said, with the customization that I got, the upgraded seat, and basically the acrylic panels, and basically it came out to like 5.5 K. So it's not a cheap bike. I could have got a motorcycle. I don't want a motorcycle. If I wanted a motorcycle, I could have bought one. So between that one and the Motor Goat bike cost me 2.5 K. I bought a long range battery, which was a 50 amp, 60 volt battery. That cost me $1,600. So if you really want a good e-bike, the biggest cost of the e-bike is basically the battery. So that's going to cost you basically the most out of anything. So if you want mileage, but like what I like about what Matt says, this bike right here, so far as range wise, the way I ride, I get about easy get about like 35 miles. And a lot of people might be like, man, that's really nothing. But at the end of the day, I can keep the charger with me. So most of the time, I'm not really just riding 35 miles straight. So if I want to go over to my friend's house, if I go from Emays to Allentown or whatever and back, I don't really need to bring my charger. Now, if I want to go somewhere else, or if I'm chilling, I'll bring my charger. I can charge it up right while I'm there. So the bike, basically, even close to empty, within maybe like 2-3 hours, it'll be fully charged again. So like I said, it's going to get you where you want to go. It's going to get you there fast. Like I said, if you want an e-bike, this is a bike to consider. So talk to y'all later. Peace out. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.